Welcome to TruPowur, home of the most powerful marketing tools, training, and technology on planet Earth. Get ready to earn, enjoy, and experience more than you ever dreamed was possible. If you're tired of just getting by and ready to really thrive, then buckle in and listen up. Here's your host, Matt Fox.
Picture this. You're in a quiet room wearing a headset. Your hands are free to take notes and you're laser focused. The first step in making cold calls to get past the gatekeeper, who typically is the receptionist, who's the first real hurdle between you and the decision maker. Getting past the gatekeeper when calling businesses, the gatekeeper is almost always the receptionist. Occasionally, it might be a personal assistant, but this training will focus on getting past the receptionist or the gatekeeper. They usually will answer the phone with something like, "Hello, this is XYZ company. How can I help you?" So today on TruPowur Academy, we're going to break into the three different types of situations you may encounter. The first type is if you know the decision maker's name. Let's say you already know the first name of the person you're trying to reach. Here's how to approach that. Use only the first name. Don't say, "Hi, could I speak to John Smith?" That sounds like a salesperson. Instead, say, "Hi, could you put me through to John?" This gives the impression you already know them personally. Listen for the gatekeeper's name. When they say, "Hi, this is Rebecca from XYZ," use that. Say, "Hi, Rebecca, it's Matt. Could I please speak to John?" Now you're on a first name basis with both parties. That familiarity increases your chances of getting through. Stay in control. If they ask who's calling, respond with, "Tell them it's Matt." Is he in right now? Always pair your answer with a question to keep control of the conversation. If asked, "What company are you from?" say, "Tell him it's TruPowur. He should be familiar with us. I don't mind holding. Thanks." Speak with authority and confidence. Avoid upward inflections at the end of your sentences, which can make you sound unsure or salesy. The less details you give, the fewer questions they feel entitled to ask, and the more likely that you are going to get through. Now, the second type is if you don't know the decision maker's name. Let's say you're cold calling with no contact name, just the business details. Here's how to navigate this. Use specific language. Don't say, "I'm calling about your electric bill or utility bill." They hear that type of intro several times a day. Instead, say, "Hi, it's Matt here. I'm calling regarding your electric account." The key is using the word like account or service. This implies an existing relationship and reduces the chance of being dismissed as a cold caller. Then say, "I need to speak with the business owner or the person who handles this." Again, speak directly and without any questionable tone. If they ask, "Where are you calling from?" it's Matt from TruPowur. They should be familiar with us. I'll hold. Thanks. You don't want to wait for permission. You take it and you have control. Make sure that you're always maintaining control of the conversation. When they ask, "What's it regarding?" at this stage, imagine the gatekeeper is relaying your call to the business owner, and they're saying something like, "Hi, it's Matt from TruPowur on the line. He says he's calling about." You want that sentence to sound like it could reference an ongoing issue or account. So you say, tell him it's about the utility account. He'll know what it's about. Keep it vague. And remember, never, ever, never, ever pitch the gatekeeper. If they push for more details, resist the temptation to explain. You're not pitching the gatekeeper. They don't make decisions. It's a waste of your time and it's a waste of your energy. If they say the decision maker doesn't recognize your name, say, let him know I sent him an email last Tuesday. He'll know what it's about. Pro tip, always send an email in advance to reference if needed. This usually works 9 times out of 10. The gatekeeper is not going to stop, take time to check the inbox. And by then, the momentum is usually pushing the call through. The more back and forth you have, the more likely they are to cave and connect you. Gatekeepers are trained not to leave people on hold for long, especially when you're in control. The third way is to avoid the gatekeeper altogether. Actually, the best and easiest way to get past the gatekeeper is just to avoid the gatekeeper in the first place. So, how do you do that? Here's a couple of good ways. Call the office when the gatekeeper isn't typically there. Gatekeepers are usually 9 to 5ers, right? So they're not staying late and they're not coming in early. And they certainly are not working on weekends. But the decision makers you're trying to reach usually do come in early and they do stay late. And they also are in the office often on Saturdays. So try calling on the weekends or during the weekdays between 7:30 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. or between 5:30 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. and try calling on Saturdays. You might find you just get through to the decision maker who picks up the phone themselves and no gatekeeper for you to have to deal with at all. But all important is to be firm with the gatekeepers. Gatekeepers have 2 responsibilities. 1, to keep salespeople out, and 2, to let important people through. You probably know that, but what you might not know is that it's worse for a gatekeeper to actually keep an important person out than it is to let a salesperson through. So gatekeepers are usually very careful about making sure all important callers definitely get through to their boss, your prospect. So you can use this to your advantage. Most salespeople, when they're calling and they get the gatekeeper, are friendly, they're nice, and they're gentle. Instead of that, try being firm and authoritative. Not rude, but keep control. Why? To the gatekeeper, nice, friendly, and gentle people equal salespeople that I need to keep out. And firm, authoritative people equal important callers that I need to let through. So being vague with the gatekeeper, keep being vague when gatekeepers ask you questions. Most gatekeepers are trained to ask you certain questions when you call for their boss. The most common is, where are you calling from? And if you say, I'm calling from TruPowur, it could lead to more questions. So instead, try being vague. Next time you get, where are you calling from? Question, just say Dallas or wherever city you're calling from, and be firm and authoritative when you say it. This can create fear in the gatekeeper that you're actually important caller that should be put through. And this is to increase your chances of being put through. Bonus. Ask for somebody that the gatekeeper will put through. This is probably my all-time favorite. I teach this most 99% of the time just because it works very well if you do it properly. This is my favorite, and I've used it for years. Gatekeepers are trained to ask you certain questions when you ask for their boss. So instead, try asking for accounts receivable. Unlike accounts payable, which pays the bills, and most likely lead to more questions, thinking that they owe you money, and before transferring you, getting more details and information. Trust me, this is the last place that you want to ask for. And in most cases, it's just going to go to voicemail anyhow. Giving them time to figure out why their payment is late or to develop a good excuse for before they return the call. However, the accounts receivable is responsible for taking in payments, so you most likely will not get questioned because the gatekeeper thinks you're calling to make a payment and transfers you without question. Now, once you're transferred, I like to to remove the question of who I am right out of the gate by stating, I don't recall having spoken with you in the past. Are you new there? The answer is not really important, but it gives you a read or a feeling of the type of person that they are based on how they answer the question. Are they going to be cheerful and helpful? Most will and want to be helpful, getting you the information that you need, connecting you to the right person or the decision maker. Remember, the gatekeeper is not your obstacle. They're your first opportunity to demonstrate professionalism, confidence, and control. Every call is a chance to sharpen your skills, refine your approach, stay calm, speak with authority, and keep your goals in focus. Getting through to the decision maker, mastering this part of the process, and you're already be ahead of 95% of the salespeople out there. I hope that you found value in today's training. So pick up the phone and make the next call count and have fun storming the castle. Bye now.